Hello friends! In this video, new incredible discoveries from World War II and the stories of how they were found. So, let's begin! Flamethrower tank T-34. The restoration of a rare flamethrower tank T-34 has recently been completed. This variant differs from the standard T-34 in that, instead of a hull machine gun, it was equipped with a flamethrower capable of projecting a fiery mixture from 60 to 120 meters. It was discovered by search teams in the Leningrad region near the WW2 heights. Several marks from German shells were found to the tank's parts. They failed to penetrate the armor. However, there was one complete penetration of the turret, which caused the T-34's ammunition to explode and tore the tank into 5 pieces. The explosion was so powerful that the searchers found the tower 70 meters away from the hull. Such tanks were a fiery trap for the crew. Next to the driver was a tank containing 17 liters of napalm, which could easily ignite even from the smallest fragment striking it. Restorers from the Kolobanov Museum of the Battle for Leningrad needed a great deal of time and effort to return the tank to running condition. Many parts, including the tracks, had to be cast anew. At present, only 5 T-34 tanks have survived, and only one is operational. PE-2 bomber. In Russia, in the Rzev district, the wreckage of a PE-2 aircraft with the remains of its crew has been recovered. The crash site was discovered by Rzev search teams at the end of April 2024. At that time, a technical cover with the number 469 was also found. Now, an expedition has been carried out and the recovery work completed. The aircraft had been stripped for metal after the war, and in a very barbaric way, judging by the number of fragments, metal scavengers simply blew it up and collected the debris. A mass of untouched fragments lay at a depth of 3 meters. Elements of uniforms, equipment, and fragmented human remains of the crew were also found there. Fragments of 2 M105 engines number 2165 and 2168 were recovered from the crater. Within 2 hours, specialists produced the necessary document perfectly linking the engine numbers, the cover number, and the crew's names. On August 2, 1942, a flight consisting of the lead commander of 1st Squadron of the 205th Bomber Aviation Regiment, Major Glukhov, and wingman Sergeant Lipkov and pilot Galba carried out a combat mission in the Rzev area, striking enemy manpower near the village of Dobraya. The route to the target was flown well and a good discipline. The wingmen carefully followed their leader. As they approached the target at a distance of 3 to 5 kilometers, wingman pilot Galba noticed 3 enemy Bf-109 fighters flying behind the clouds and, while watching them, failed to see the leader's signal to turn right. He noticed the signal too late and descended to the right. When he took his position again, the formation had already been disrupted, and the distance and intervals had increased. 2 enemy aircraft attacked the planes of Major Glukhov and Sergeant Lipkov. The lead aircraft caught fire, went into a steep dive toward the ground, and exploded near the village of Borisova. The crew, Commander Major Glukhov, Navigator Captain Sherbakov, and radio operator gunner Sergeant Andreev did not return to their airfield. T-26 tank. I managed to find information about T-26 tank exhibited in the Leningrad region at the breakthrough of the siege of Leningrad Museum. Nevsky Petachok, April 14, 2003. This is how the T-26 looked before searchers examined it and removed it for restoration. The turret of the tank lay near the riverbank slope for a long time. By 2003 it had been stolen for scrap metal. Near the running gear, the remains of 3 unidentified Red Army soldiers were found, probably the tank's crew. Inside were dry magazines for the DT-29 machine gun. The hull was taken to a factory, where a turret found elsewhere was mounted on it, and the tank was restored as best as possible. Now the T-26 is exhibited in the museum's open-air display. Pistol. In Poland, while cleaning an old chicken coop, the owner discovered a Walther pistol of 9mm caliber, as well as 21 rounds of 7mm ammunition and 15 rounds of 9mm ammunition. It has now been established that the weapon was manufactured in 1941 and had likely been hidden at the place where it was found for decades. Lack-free fighter. Another World War II aircraft was discovered by treasure hunters from Russia near St. Petersburg. The wreckage of the single-seat Soviet Lack-free fighter had sunk 2 meters into the swampy soil. Fragments of the fuselage, the pilot's map, and weaponry were found. The thick clay resisted for a long time, reluctant to reveal the secret of the aircraft's final resting place. The names Lavochkin, Gudkov, and Gorbunov belong to the aircraft's designers. The first letters of their surnames gave the aircraft its name, Lack-free. Soviet aircraft designers developed this combat plane before the war, and it later became one of the main frontline fighters. The Lack-free provided cover for Soviet Illinois II and PE-2 bombers, and engined in aerial combat with German fighters. The gun was loaded with 20mm shells. The barrel was bent, indicating the plane had fallen almost vertically. One can only imagine the force with which the plane struck the ground, disintegrating into small fragments. The searchers were particularly interested in the metal parts that could reveal a serial number, and such parts were indeed found. On a fragment of the engine cowl, the last 4 digits read 2889. This allowed the identification of the pilot and the aircraft. On September 9, 1942, Sergeant Ivan Kuzmich Lyakishev, born in 1919, did not return from a combat mission. He was from the village of Novomikhailivka, Orel Oblast. No photo of him exists. The casualty report only lists his sister, Maria Lyakisheva, and the address was Moscow. This was a great stroke of luck. The paper survived in the routing map case. The call sign Burya, Storm, was still legible. Inside the pocket was a pencil, with which the pilot, whose remains were never found at the crash site, had scratched an approximate map of the area. The search team of Wings of the Motherland preserved every scrap of paper. In addition to the maps and sketches, the case contained 2 empty notebooks and a commander's ruler. The fighter was shot down during the Sinyavina offensive operation when, in the fall of 1942, the forces of the Volkhov and Leningrad fronts attempted to break the siege of Leningrad. It is presumed that he managed to bail out, but since the area was occupied by the enemy, he most likely died, either while crossing the front line or simply in the air. We sustained quite heavy losses. On that day alone, 12 planes were listed as shot down across all the regiments fighting in that area, said Viktor Sobolev, the head of the Wings of Motherland search squad. The aircraft parts were transferred to a local museum. Partisan cache. 2 young men from Ukraine were walking through the forest with metal detectors, searching for World War II artifacts. Their attention was drawn by a loud signal from the metal detector, indicating a large metal object on the ground. Carefully digging, the treasure hunters discovered a hidden stash of ammunition and Molotov cocktails. A Molotov cocktail is a glass bottle filled with flammable liquid and a mechanism for ignition. These bottles were widely used by the Red Army to destroy German armored vehicles during the war. Also, retrieved from the hole were several zinc boxes with labels in Polish. The man carefully opened one, finding ammunition in excellent condition. It seemed that moisture had not penetrated the box, and it is possible that these rounds could still be used. What do you think? Should ammunition that has been buried in the ground for around 80 years be used? That's all for today, friends. You can support our channel by sending a super thanks for any amount or by becoming a channel sponsor for just $1. Good luck to all of you!